Welcome to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. This episode is part of our Indies Introduced series, where we spotlight debut authors handpicked by booksellers from around the country. In each episode, a bookseller from the Indies Introduced panel will interview the author of a debut title featured in our program.
Hi, my name is Amani Jackson. I am a bookseller from the Ivy Bookshop in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am here with Carla Madeira and Alison Entrekin. And we're here for It's All River, one of our favorite picks from Indies Introduce, and I'm so excited to talk to you both today. Carla is one of Brazil's best-selling authors. Her novels have sold a combined 1 million copies. Her debut, Tudo é Rio, It's All River, topped the bestseller charts for 2 years and has been published or is forthcoming in 7 countries. Alison Entrekin is an award-winning literary translator from the Portuguese who has translated many of Brazil's most beloved writers, and she lives in Australia and Brazil. How are you guys doing today?
Well, thank you.
One thing I really loved about this book, I love a slim translation. That's one of my favorites. I also am a huge fan of unhinged women and, unreliable narrators. So this was hitting a bunch of boxes for me. So our first question is, this story has resonated with so many people, and it's seemingly very extreme in a lot of ways. What do you think is resonating with people? Why do you think so many people love this story?
Ok. Bom, eu vou falar um pouquinho, você vai traduzindo, certo, Alison? Primeiro, me ocorre que Tudo é Rio é um livro que afeta o corpo do leitor. Eles contam que sentiram um soco no estômago, ou derramaram lágrimas, ou morreram de tesão.
The first thing that comes to mind is that It's All River is a book that affects the reader's body. People tell me that they feel a gut punch, or they cry their eyes out, or they were very turned on.
E um corpo afetado quer produzir sentido. Acho que isso se dá porque o livro ele olha para questões que já estão inquietas dentro do leitor, como a sexualidade feminina, sempre tão interditada, a religiosidade como fonte de violência ou amparo, a discussão sobre perdoar o imperdoável para que a vida siga e como isso pode se dar sem que se torne um mecanismo de impunidade.
And a body that's been affected wants to produce meaning. I think this happens because the book tackles issues that readers are already uneasy about, like female sexuality, which is always so forbidden, religion as a source of violence or support, forgiving the unforgivable so that life can go on, and how that can happen without becoming a mechanism of impunity.
De uma certa maneira, Tudo é Rio parece não enquadrar em uma definição maniqueísta do tipo uma coisa ou outra, poético ou brutal, sagrado ou profano, bem ou mal. Tudo parece estar lá, misturado, como está dentro de nós. E é nesse espaço indefinido que se abre o espaço para a subjetividade do leitor. O leitor passa a se ouvir e a juntar algumas coisas esparramadas dentro dele. Olha para o próprio tumulto com a sensação de poder iluminá-lo. É cada vez mais o que me chega como ressonância dos leitores.
In a way, It's All River doesn't really seem to fit into a Manichaean definition of this or that, poetic or brutal, sacred or profane, good or evil, does it? Everything is in there. It's all rubbing shoulders, just like it is inside us. And it's this undefined space that makes room for the reader's subjectivity.
I think that also the length of the book pushes all of that into this very intense, compact kind of pressure cooker of all of those feelings. So I definitely see that in the work for sure.
Exatamente, tem uma correnteza, é como se você caísse numa correnteza ali e não conseguisse sair até que a coisa se resolva.
Exactly. She said it's like falling into a very fast-moving current and you can't get out of it until everything's resolved.
And then at the end, you're like, what just happened? So, what was your reaction when you learned that your book was being translated and released throughout the world and its impact is going to be bigger than Brazil?
Eu fiquei muito feliz com isso e tem me impressionado assim ver o alcance que as minhas histórias têm tido em diferentes culturas. Em alguns lugares, o Rio é que ele tem contribuído para tornar a literatura brasileira, que é maravilhosa, mais conhecida.
It makes me so happy to see how far my stories have traveled across different cultures. And in some places, It's All River has even helped make Brazilian literature, which is so wonderful, even better known.
Definitely. I think a similar thing happened with Japanese literature where we had a few translations that everybody loved, and now Japanese translations are everywhere. So hopefully we'll get that with Portuguese, and it'll be because of you. Okay, so when did you two meet? And Carla, was there anything you were afraid would get lost in translation, or did you trust Alison just implicitly?
I'll answer the first question and Carla will answer the second. I think we first met in person at the end of 2024 in Paraty in Rio de Janeiro, the state of Rio in Brazil, at a literary festival, which is an absolute must. If anyone listening likes literary festivals, it's just the best. So we actually ran into each other in a restaurant. That was the first time we'd actually met in person. And we got to have a chat that time, but we got to spend more time together very recently at a literary festival, again in Brazil, but in the state of Minas Gerais, where Carla is from, at Flipossos, another wonderful literary festival in a town nestled in an extinct volcanic crater. Most amazing place.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
Não, eu não tive nenhum medo. Quando eu soube que você, Alison, tinha traduzido Grande Sertão Veredas, um livro impressionante de Guimarães Rosa, extremamente importante na minha formação como leitora, como escritora, né, que conta uma história que se passa em Minas Gerais, meu estado, e que tem uma sonoridade que eu reconheço dentro de mim. Eu tive a mais profunda convicção de que eu gostaria que a Alison, que você, Alison, fizesse a tradução. Então, eu te convidei e foi imensa a minha alegria quando você aceitou traduzir Tudo é Rio. Eu estou certa de que o livro só ganhou, e depois de conhecer, cada vez mais eu fico mais confiante, no seu trabalho.
She says she wasn't at all afraid when she learned that I had translated Gran Sertão Veredas, which is coming out in January as Vastlands, The Crossing, which is an extraordinary book by a writer called João Guimarães Rosa, that has shaped her very much in terms of as a reader and as a writer. And the book is set in Minas Gerais, which is Carla's state in Brazil. And it has a certain sonorous quality, a way of using language that she recognizes. And when she knew that I had translated that, she was convinced that she wanted me to be her translator. So she invited me to translate it and was happy when I agreed. And she said she's certain the book has only gained from it.
Well, I felt everything that Carla has described that the book feels like. I still felt that in English. So, not that I'm an expert, but thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
What would you say is the difference and translating with someone that you can meet and talk to versus someone who's no longer with us, like Clarice Lispector?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think an author's use of language is like a fingerprint. It's very characteristic. If you paid attention, you will see they have identifying traits. And most of that you get from reading them, not from talking to them. From talking to them, you'll just ask questions about, what does this look like or what does that do? And you just sort of get a bit of refinement. But I think that the better you know someone's work, the easier it is for you to identify those things. But even more important than that, I think, is actually knowing their language and culture really well, because then you can identify what is uniquely that author's style and what are things that just everybody does because it's part of that language and the way they use it. So when you translate somebody like Clarice Lispector or like João Guimarães Rosa, who wrote Wastelands, that's extremely important because they're always doing unconventional things with language. So then you need to be able to know what they're doing deliberately to be unconventional and what falls within the normal use of language. But all of that said, I think that most books teach us how they want to be translated. So if we do a close enough reading, we will find all the clues, everything we need is actually in the book to begin with. So when I start doing a draft of a translation and I mark a lot of things to be resolved later, to think about later, and quite often when I get to the end of the draft, I already know what I want to do with those things because I've found the clues in the book.
That's a great answer. Like, I just learned so much in that little bit of time about translation. I was so excited to do this interview, and now like I'm happy. I mean, I was already happy, but I'm very happy that I get to do this. All right, our last thing is a bit of a game. We're gonna do word association, but there's gonna be no spoilers for the book. Are you ready for the first one? Our
Yes.
first word is baby.
Baby. Ok, Édipo.
Oedipus.
Alison, do you have one?
Vulnerability.
Secrets.
Punição. Punition? Punition?
Punishment.
Allison?
Protection.
You guys are so good. I just love that you're together because I'm getting different answers. Okay. Next. Sex.
Control.
Control.
I heard that.
Liberation.
And finally, we've got devotion.
Hope.
Presence.
This is so good. I'm so happy that we're here, and you guys have just made my day. Like, I'm glad I'm doing this in the morning, and now I just feel like I have energy just from talking to you two about this wild, crazy, energetic feeling book. So I'm glad that it translated over in the conversation with you both.
Ah, muito bom, também adorei. Ela passou pela experiência de leitura do livro, né? É, é, e eu queria também perguntar a ela o que que ficou.
She's got a question for you.
Oh, okay.
As a reader, what's left? I mean, what are you left with at the end of this reading experience?
The urge to start over and read it again, to make
A
sure
vontade de
that
começar
I
de
saw
novo.
everything.
Thank you.
I described it in one of my reviews as a colorful indie film, and it feels like a movie that I saw, and it was so visually beautiful the first time that at the end I was like, oh wait, let me read it again to make sure that I'm paying attention to what's actually happening and not just the beauty in front of me.
Ah, thank you.
Well, this was lovely. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you guys today. And everyone needs to check out this book. It won't take you very long. You're gonna feel your heart rate go up a couple of times, and that's okay. Just put it down, breathe, and keep going because it's worth it.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA site at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!